Welcome back to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton, Big E here. We have a big show ahead. This is part one of our NBA season preview with SYP creator Fuji. Tonight, we're previewing the Eastern Conference. And then on Tuesday, our part two comes out on Western Conference teams. Two great episodes. I think about 3 hours total running time combined for the shows. So lots of content. Big thanks again to Fuji for taking the time to do this. It's greatly appreciated. So stick around and enjoy the shows. All right, welcome to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton, Big E here. Pleased to be joined by SYP creator, basketball insider, my basketball insider. He's basically the SYP Woj, essentially. Alex Fuji. What's happening, man?
Hey, Ian. Glad to be here.
Great to be talking basketball. It feels like forever since we've talked basketball. And I can't believe that the season's actually like less than a week away from starting.
Yeah, just a few days, man.
Time goes by so fast, you know. Time might even be a social construct.
Totally is.
Totally is. I like the sounds of that. All right, so we're gonna go through headlines. We're gonna preview teams. Maybe we'll do some player predictions. This is gonna be a long podcast, so buckle up, enjoy. Getting the full beans. Really, is what you're getting with this episode with Fuji and I. Fuji, should we start with Kyrie Irving or should we start with Ben Simmons?
Let's start with Kyrie. Let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it. So Kyrie, not able to play because he is unvaccinated. By choice, he is providing a voice for the voiceless with these mandates and vaccine cards and all this sort of stuff. It's a really fascinating situation considering the player that Kyrie is and his status on the Nets. Fuji, when you heard that Kyrie would be out indefinitely, or at least until vaccinated, what were your immediate thoughts when you saw that?
Honestly, at this point with Kyrie, it didn't really faze me. He's always been bound to kind of act up, but I don't think people should be ripping into him as much. Like, he still does a lot for the community, like around his various teams, but it's kind of, I don't think he'll have the impact that he wants to have simply because he's not playing.
Well, I don't know. I found it fascinating where, I feel like the same people that he's, providing a voice for the voiceless, I feel like are the same people that would tell him shut up and dribble if it was like any other issue.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess if you want to, stand up for those people, go for it. You have a right to do so. Why not? It's just the whole, like you say, it feels like another chapter in the Kyrie NBA off the court saga that seems to continue all the time. Do you think we'll see him at all this season?
It's hard to say. I think we likely will see him at some point this season, but it seems potentially far off. I think Kyrie is moving in a different direction from the team, obviously. The team wants to contend for a championship. They have all the pieces they need except for Kyrie. They also are having trouble getting rid of him. They can't really find a trade for him. He has almost no trade value at the moment since he has a giant contract, and it's unlikely that he could even be playing for your team.
Yeah, we got a mailbag question about that later about trading Kyrie, and I don't know. It just seems like a unlikely thing where I think this dude is just, he is where he is, and he's just doing what he's doing, and it kind of, plays to the hand of the Nets where they don't really have any leverage here.
the only leverage they really have is just saying, well, you can't play. But in terms of like trying to get rid of him by trade or releasing him and taking on a whole bunch of money, there's not really a lot of positives, it feels like, in the on the net side, I should say. But hey, you know what? This is a player empowerment league. We're all about supporting the players, and Kyrie has a right to do what he wants to do. I think it might not be the right decision, but he can do that. I guess the question is, do we think that this is going to where does this go? Like where what's the next step here? So like this, Kyrie's not playing. The Nets aren't allowing him to play. Kyrie doesn't look like he's going to get vaccinated. What do you think the next step is, or what direction do we go in after this?
It's hard to say like what direction we can go in, because as far as players missing time, the league isn't allowed to fine them based on their vaccination status. Kyrie's not really refusing to play exactly. He technically just cannot play because of state laws surrounding his vaccination status. But so he can't lose money. There's nothing really that the Nets can do to him other than just say like, hey, we're not going to be playing you unless you get vaccinated. Kyrie kind of has all the power right now. It's kind of hard to say since they can't really do anything to him. But I just think that Kyrie's not doing it the right way exactly. I think if you're playing, you have a much stronger voice. If you're actually playing, people see you on TV. But I also think that his decision, he is a celebrity. He's a role model to younger people, to people, around the world, really. And, having his decision, obviously he doesn't say he's not anti-vaccine or whatnot, but realistically, people do take what Kyrie does into account. And I think that if he wants to be a role model, a leader, I think he should, do what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, I feel like you can be like pro-vaccine and anti-mandate. I feel like you can be that. I don't know if, because it sounds like he isn't anti-vax. He's just anti-mandate and anti vaccine passport or whatever the terminology is. It's different in some places, but yeah, I don't know where you go from here. If you're Kyrie, I think you're just kind of going on the same path that you're going down. You're just continuing what you're doing. And if you're the Nets, in a way, you're kind of continuing what you're doing just without Kyrie. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how it plays out in the end. It's not like, I was gonna say, it's not like the Nets are a bad team either without Kyrie. Like, they're still really talented. So let's talk about other player impacts. Ben Simmons and the Philadelphia 76ers. It looks like Simmons is returning to Philadelphia. It looks like he's going to be back with the 76ers this year. Does that not feel like an L for everybody?
I think mainly Ben Simmons. I like Ben Simmons kind of like as a player, but just his like just the skills he has, I think what annoys me is that Ben could be an MVP candidate every year if he put in the work. Like, obviously he's probably one of the most athletically gifted guys in the whole league. We've seen realistically almost no improvement like throughout each year. Offensively, his game's been the same since his rookie year. He hasn't improved his shooting at all. I think really he doesn't work on his game. I think he's just in the gym, in the Twitter, Instagram DMs. My favorite stat is that he has dated more girls, 6 girls in his NBA career in the last 2 years. then made 3-point shots. He's made 5 3-point shots.
I wish I could have those numbers, like girls dated and 3-pointers made. Like, I wish I could like get both. He's real versatile in that way.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's shooting elsewhere.
Listen, I really think with the Sixers, this is a team that, for the most part, has ran it back like 3 years too many with Simmons and Embiid, 2 years anyways. Like after losing to Toronto, that was the time to make changes, and they didn't make changes. They lost Jimmy Butler. That was not really a positive change, as it turned out. And then last year, watching them play Atlanta, and watching Simmons just be so timid. And I don't know if that's because he just doesn't have the confidence to, drive the hole, or if he's just not feeling the confidence from his teammates. I really am not ecstatic about the Sixers running it back again. Even though they finished first in the Eastern Conference last year, not ecstatic to see them run it back again this year. I guess with Simmons and Embiid, do we think Simmons maybe gets traded at the deadline mid-season? Maybe some teams desperate enough to do an in-season deal. What are your thoughts on Simmons getting moved soon?
I think he definitely will be moved. I think it might take, up to a month or two. I think teams will kind of start to envision kind of what exactly their team needs. Maybe a team kind of wants Simmons more than right now, currently. If Simmons playing and, you get to see him play, obviously that's going to increase his trade value, because the last time we saw Simmons play, it was in the playoffs. He was playing poorly. It's just not a good example. But, he's still like a young player. There's a lot of room for growth for him. Even though he hasn't really progressed before, I think this is definitely should be his kind of wake-up call. Teams will be wanting to give more for Simmons potentially, and Philadelphia will probably also settle for less in a couple of months.
I do think there is some value in Simmons, the player. Like, I think what he does, like as a playmaker and, a defense first guy, like I think there is some value to that. Is he overpaid? Probably. Is he gonna, be your top option ever on offense? No, probably not. If there's some team that could utilize him better. And I was talking about the Golden State trade, like after the season, or him going to the Warriors where he doesn't have to be a top option and he can play next to Draymond. I think that kind of made sense. It didn't really work out. I don't know where all the other trade, who all was interested, if like the Clippers were interested. There's the clutch connection with LeBron and the Lakers. I don't think that really ever went anywhere. But I kind of agree with you where I think there's got to be something done soon, because I just don't think that situation is tenable, and I don't think you can have those guys all back in the same locker room running it back again for like the second or third year. Too many. So with that being said, let's get into some team previews. Okay. Do you want to start in the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference?
Let's start out east. Let's make our way over here.
All right. Who's the first team you want to discuss in the East?
Let's go top to bottom from last year's standings.
All right. So we'll go Philadelphia down.
Yeah.
All right. So Philadelphia. We just did a bit on Simmons and Embiid. So the Sixers didn't really do a whole lot. They got Simmons back, I guess, even though he's still on a contract, but some people thought he would be gone. They added Andre Drummond. That's a big offseason move, literally big offseason move. The rest of the team I don't actually mind. Like, I like Thibault. I like Georges Niang, Shake Milton. Maxey had a really good season last year.
Yeah.
I like where this team is going in some places, but it's really just trying to get over the Ben Simmons, Embiid, Doc Rivers, Daryl Morey, just the whole like I don't know what you call it, a diamond triangle thing of that. I would say once you figure that out, I think this team's actually like not bad. I think this team can put itself together, put itself in a good position. Your thoughts on the Sixers?
Obviously, I'm not a big Andre Drummond guy. I just don't think he has really an impact on the defensive end other than just being like this unit that you just have around the rim. He's just not vertically gifted. He's got the credit card jump, man. He jumps, you swipe the credit card, and then hits the ground again. He is very good at getting rebounds. He isn't the most gifted scorer, but I think realistically, what made the Sixers team so good last year was their depth and the amount of shooters they had around Ben Simmons. Even though Ben Simmons wasn't amazing offensively, he's still great in the post-ups and he's still great at finding shooters.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's still like Seth Curry's on this team. Danny Green is on this team. Tobias Harris. Like there's enough quality shooting around to make Simmons useful on this squad.
Yeah, I think my biggest question is, when they deal Ben Simmons, what are they getting back in return? Because I think that will definitely change how the team operates significantly. It depends. Are they getting back a point guard? Are they getting a scorer? What kind of, what's going to happen with this offense? Because without Ben Simmons' passing ability, if you don't have a quality guard running the show, it's harder for this team. It's more of a struggle to find the looks they had last year. And if you have a scorer, what's going to happen? How is the ball going to be distributed? Because you want the ball in Joel Embiid's hands, obviously. A lot changes depending on where Ben Simmons goes, and also, how is their defense going to look? Their defense was amazing on the perimeter with Ben Simmons, Ty Bully, Danny Green. How does that change as well?
My one Embiid anecdote, I guess, is if you're falling for the Embiid pump fake at the perimeter, if you're still doing that in 2021, you need to be sent down to the G League. Like stop biting for the stupid Embiid pump fake. It's been like 3 years now. Like you guys can stop baiting on that. Like it's not happening. I hate to break it to you. That's my Embiid insight. Stop biting on his fucking pump fakes.
Well, Ian, I think you would make a great coach.
Thanks. With Philadelphia, they finished first in the East last year. We're going to play our game higher, lower, or equal to. With Philadelphia, they finished first, so they can't really get higher. Are they going to finish equal to or lower in the Eastern Conference this year?
I'm going with lower.
Yeah, lower. All right. I like them finishing lower too. Let's go with Brooklyn then. So we talked about Kyrie. The rest of the team looks fucking awesome with Durant, Harden, Blake Griffin is back. That's going to be cool to see. Blake Griffin in Brooklyn. So pretty much it's championship or bust with this team, right? Like that's where we're at. Like this team has to win a championship. There is no other option.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Pretty much. The team still has a lot of depth. They have a lot of veterans. They added Patty Mills, Paul Millsap, LaMarcus Aldridge is returning. Bruce Bowens, Joe Harris. There's a lot of quality guys on this team. Jeff Green, one of my favorite players. Um, there's a lot of guys. Like, this is probably the deepest team right now in the East. There's a lot of guys. A lot of guys can step up. A lot of guys consistent, do the dirty work. Obviously, missing Kyrie is a big thing, but I think Patty Mills can do a good job if he is the starting point guard for most of this year.
Hey, I was told Cam Thomas is good.
Yeah.
I've been
pretty skilled.
I've been told that, I was told he was just playing on a bad call, or not a bad, but, LSU was holding him back, i.e. Ben Simmons. It's LSU's fault. Just wait till, he gets into Brooklyn, plays behind Harden, Patty Mills. Look out on Cam Thomas.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at an Achilles heel for this team, I think it is in the paint. LaMarcus Aldridge hasn't been the best defender in his career. I think Blake Griffin is kind of undersized as well in the paint. I think Giannis did have a field day down low. Joel Embiid, if they get that matchup, is going to have a field day as well. But still very high expectations for this team.
I think it's like a Moneyball situation where they're just going to get like 3 or 4 guys, who collectively score 5 to 10 points, and they'll manage to get 20 points out of position per average per game. That's where I think this is going to go. Nick Claxton also was like a guy who was playing important minutes in stretches this year for the Nets. Joe Harris is now everybody's favorite. He's like the new Kyle Korver. I feel like everybody's new favorite, white 3-point shooter. I feel like that's, but maybe a better Kyle Korver. Maybe that's what Joe Harris is. Just a better.
Kyle Korver's the GOAT,
man. Yeah, the Nets, it's not that difficult. Basically, it's just they have to win a title or bust. That's all that there is with this team. Will they finish higher, lower, or equal to second in the East this year?
I am going to say higher because I think that they were very unhealthy last year. The big three was kind of staggering, staggering time together throughout the whole season. Kevin Durant, obviously, with the Achilles. James Harden, just multiple injuries. Kyrie Irving just paid time off, I guess.
Harden was kind of fat sometimes last year.
Yeah, that's okay, But
haven't we all put on weight during COVID?
Oh yeah, of course. I can't blame him, man. He's still cooking everybody's favorite point guard.
But I got Brooklyn finishing equal in second. So they're gonna be second in the East again this year.
Okay, so you got somebody in first then?
I got somebody in first, and let's talk about them. I think it's Milwaukee's gonna be first. So let's talk about Milwaukee. So Milwaukee, reigning champions for the first time since 47 years. What's that? 1974. That sounds right. That's why I'm in English. I'm not really a math guy. The Bucks, not really. I mean, they're losing. They lost a few pieces over the offseason here. They're losing your boy PJ Tucker. Jeff Teague also gone. Bryn Forbes also gone. But for the most part, this team is relatively the same. I like the addition of George Hill. Rodney Hood can, put up some good 10-minute stretches here. Your thoughts on the Bucks heading into their what's the word I'm looking for? Into their reigning championship season.
I think this team looks about the same as last year. I think they are a lot deeper at the guard position, though. They picked up George Hill. Rodney Hood might get some minutes. Grayson Allen, I think, is going to be a really good pickup. I think he's been one of the better two-way guards in the league, and I think he'll be able to pick up significant minutes at the shooting guard position between him and DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo is also banged up for the later part of the season. Didn't really see him in the playoffs. I think this team is going to be a lot better defensively at the guard position. They did lose PJ Tucker, but I think that Bobby Portis can fill that kind of void at the forward position.
I actually really liked watching Bobby Portis last year. Like, it's one of my favorite. Like, it was kind of like, oh, I wasn't expecting this from this guy, and he's actually like playing, valuable minutes for the Bucks. Okay, I like that. That's cool. Hopefully he can do that again. It'd be nice to see him do that again, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I think Milwaukee just needs to kind of have another guy coming up behind Portis now, since he is moving into that starting position likely with PJ Tucker gone. I think this Milwaukee is just as scary as last year. Great defensive team. They've got shooters that get hot. Obviously, Giannis, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. That's still going to be one of the best big threes in the league.
Giannis is still getting better as a shooter. Like, he got better as a shooter as the finals went on, as the playoffs went on, really, which was incredible considering all the other skills that he's bringing to the table for the Bucks. So I'm really excited to watch this team. I think this team is also just, they won a championship last year, but they've historically have been a really good regular season team under Mike Budenholzer. Like, they just seem to do really well in the regular season. They had a really good 2019-20 season before COVID hit them. So I'm willing to put money on them, kind of going back to back, or at least having a good regular season. I would feel more confident about their regular season chances than their postseason chances, but you could convince me to put money on them to repeat. Is there like an X factor? So the X factor is Bobby Portis then, for the Bucks, is being able to replace Tucker.
I think, I would go with him and Grayson Allen. I would go with DiVincenzo and Grayson Allen. I think them progressing, they're probably the younger guys on this team. They're talented guards. They're good shooters. They're good defenders. I think this adds a lot to Milwaukee because they were lacking at that guard position. I think if you're a playoff team and you're trying to make a title run and you're like, oh shit, I have nobody to like have at the guard position, I'm just going to sign George Hill for the minimum. Like that's always happened. Sixers did it. Cavs did it. Every team that's in trouble at the guard position just signs George Hill, and he's been doing that for like 2 decades.
I'll come fill this role. Sure, this seems like a smart play.
Yeah, I think just DiVincenzo and Grayson Allen, if they step up, they earn more minutes. They just keep progressing. They'll be like great quality starters, 6-man. I think it changes a lot for Milwaukee.
Higher, lower, or equal to third? I said higher. First place, I got them. Where are you putting the Bucks?
I want to put them higher. I'm not sure how much higher they could get, but I would say higher.
All right. That's a fair play. Let's go to the New York Knicks. They finished 4th last season. They were one of the most exciting, entertaining teams, just I think partially because none of us were expecting it, but also because it was fun to have good basketball at Madison Square Garden instead of watching shit teams and James Dolan be the center of attention. Now this team is in contention to do well. They had a really good season from Julius Randle. Canadian RJ Barrett had a good season. Emmanuel Quickley was one of the more popular rookies last year. What are your thoughts on the Knicks heading into 2021-2022?
I'm looking to see about the similar amount of success as last year. Thibodeau teams have always been really good in the regular season, mostly because of Thibodeau's minutes, giving every starter 40 minutes a game. Got to get that cardio in there. I'm excited about the Kemba Walker pickup. I think he wasn't being utilized very well in Boston. I think having him as a primary scorer slash playmaker is going to be, great for him, but also great for the Knicks. You're getting an exciting point guard, somebody who has a chip on his shoulder over the last 2 years, with the Celtics not really getting his time to shine, kind of getting slandered. I think having a primary playmaker, a reliable scorer, playmaker, shooter, next to Randall is exactly what this team needs. I think Randall had too much on his plate to kind of deal with in the playoffs. It led to him being kind of inconsistent. Teams focusing on him in the playoffs. I don't think he could do what he does. I think Kemba will relieve a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, I mean, I like Julius Randle, but he's not a number one option, and he was playing like a number one option last year. And it worked out like for, the most part. It worked out for the 72 games they played last year. It didn't quite work out against the Hawks in the first round, who the Knicks lost to. But I mean, all the pieces that they have here, Derrick Rose, Kemba Walker, Randall, Barrett, Evan Fournier is going to probably be the starting shooting guard for this team. Obi Toppin hopefully will take another step this season. Quickly has another good year. We'll see if Kevin Knox can put it together. Maybe we'll see. Like, I think, even Mitchell Robinson, who somebody once told me would be the greatest player in the world if fouls didn't count. I think, there's a lot of good pieces on this team. Are they a, elite Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Philly team? No, I don't think they're in that tier, but I think they can be a really good 4th, 5th, 6th team in the East and can be a bitch to play against on some nights.
I just want to know who told you that Mitchell Robinson would be the best player if fouls can exist. Was that Neil?
No, I heard it on a podcast one time. I think it was a Knicks fan who said it. And this was also like, I want to say pre-pandemic, like Mitchell Robinson, who like, I think was doing okay. And then like would just foul out with like 7 points in a game. And it's just like, okay, fouling out, fine. Like at least put up 20 before you foul out. Like don't just foul out after scoring 7. You can score more. We know it's there. I'm probably like one of the like few people who's maybe high on Mitchell Robinson, or not high. High is maybe too nice of a term. I don't mind Mitchell Robinson. I don't mind what he brings to the table. Who's your kind of guy? You mentioned Kemba Walker. Who's your guy on the Knicks that you're really looking forward to watching this season?
Definitely Quickly.
Quickly, okay.
I would like to see him progress more. He was kind of up there when he was hot during the season. He was, top 3 in the rookie ladder. I think he could definitely very easily become a starter this year with some of the other veteran guys leaving. He could definitely be a starter or, a very good 6-man. He wasn't amazing on the defensive end, which kind of left him onto the bench, but I think just progressing more, putting on weight, getting more skilled, he'll likely be a starter.
I was I was big on Obi Toppin this year. If you told me last year that Emmanuel Quickly would be a more useful rookie than Obi Toppin, I would have said you're wrong. I guess it is also in a way challenging to get time and some minutes with Tom Thibodeau as your head coach. I don't think he loves to play the rookies unless he really has to. And he doesn't really he can take Quickly off, since like you say, he's a little bit of a liability defensively. He can take Quickly off, or he can take Toppin off and, put other guys there who are maybe more balanced and more useful. I'm really excited to see this team. I'm really excited to see the Garden full people, full of energy, full of optimism, which is a weird thing to say. Are the Knicks going to finish higher, lower, or equal to 4th in the East this year?
I'm going to go with equal.
Okay.
I think they try a bit harder than everybody else in the regular season. Why wouldn't you? You're at MSG. Everyone's there. Everyone's, greatest the greatest sports arena in the world.
It really is. As someone who's gone to watch a hockey game there, it's probably the nicest building I've ever been in my entire life. I don't think there's anything close to it. I'm gonna say the Knicks are less. They don't finish fourth, but it's like a small less. Like I said, they're like fourth, fifth, or sixth, but I'm gonna say they finished just below fourth. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks and notable heel Trae Young. He's the star on this team, and not because he's been wrestling in the WWE on occasion. I actually really like the Hawks. Like, I really like their pieces that they got between Young. John Collins is like one of my favorite younger, 4 or 5 like spot guy in the league. I don't mind Clint Capella. I was high on Cam Reddish when he came out of the draft, and the last game against Milwaukee when he went off for like 30 points, I think, before they got eliminated, it was like, okay, I'm still invested in this guy. I still believe in Cam Reddish. DeAndre Hunter too, like one of the not as talked about, should be talked about more players at the 3 spot. What do you see from the Hawks this year, and what do you think fans should be excited about with the Hawks this year?
I think mostly just, progression. Like, all the guys there are pretty young. They can all still improve quite a lot. They spend more time together. They get better as a team. They get better, more skilled, more consistent. And Trae Young, he's a flashy point guard, and he showed that he could put the team on his back, really. I think they will do, they'll still have the same amount of success last year. I think they can only kind of build. I think to be like championship contenders, putting themselves over like Milwaukee or Brooklyn, I think they do need another guy to kind of get to that near all-star level. Trae Young, obviously, last year snubbed from being an all-star. John Collins can get there as well. I think they just need like one more of their young guys to kind of get to that level, same level as Trae and John, or they add another piece. But I think it's kind of hard if you are the Hawks, like how successful the team's been, how well the guys have been playing. I think it's hard for you to like part with any of them, really.
Well, this is where Cam Reddish, shines. Finally, he finally puts it all together, and he becomes the big 3 in Atlanta. And one of the other things I want to mention is Nate McMillan, now the full-time coach. He was the interim coach after Atlanta's started the season. What did they start the season at last year? It was not very good. I'm going to pull it up right now. This is really interesting stuff to listen to. Atlanta went 14-20 with Lloyd Pierce, and then Nate McMillan finished out the rest of the season as the head coach. He's a guy I really like. I liked him. Like, obviously, he's been coaching for a number of years now. He was last in Indiana before Atlanta, and I think he was doing some really good things in Indiana. Now with the Hawks, I think he has a more talented roster. It's just a matter of putting it all together in a normal season. I'm with you. I think this team could use another star. I feel like they're just missing one more guy to really, push them to the top of the table. I don't know I don't think that guy is on this team. I joke about Cam Reddish. It could be him. Could be DeAndre Hunter. You know what you're getting with Lou Williams at this point. Danilo, if he can if he can be healthy, he can be a really valuable, maybe 6th, 7th guy on this team. I mean, I have to say, he can't be 6 man with, Lou Will on the team. But
that is the 6 man.
That is literally the 6 man. Danilo, he could be a really, good 7th piece on this team if he stays healthy. I'm excited to watch the Hawks again this year with McMillan. I was never a big fan of like the Harden Paul Rockets team for those years, but that's kind of what I feel like with this team. Like I feel like Trae Young is like the James Harden. I don't know if they have the Chris Paul yet, and maybe that's who they're looking for. I feel like Young is a similar style of player to what Harden is. Clint Capella was on those Rockets team, so maybe that's why I'm thinking about this. They do really, good stuff offensively. They got better last year when McMillan took over defensively. Who knows? I'm really excited for Atlanta. I think you're excited for Atlanta. Is there a player outside of Collins or Young that you want to see take another step this season?
Obviously, it's going to be Kevin Huerter for me.
Okay.
I think that, I think it's funny. I think it's funny how there's all these guys like that just hype him up all the time. I think that's great. I think it's funny, like just watching this like skinny, like super pale redhead dude just cook people in the playoffs.
I think his hair got more red as the series went along against them.
Oh yeah, he was hot, man. He was hot. He's on fire, literally.
He's like, remember In and Out or Inside Out, like the movie, and the red guy who would just get fiery angry? Like that was Kevin Huerter, I think, when he was playing Philadelphia. Yeah. I think it was like somebody's got to do a side by side of that if they haven't already, because I think that's what it was. It's like a skinny Jokic is what it is. It's like that. That's kind of what it was like, just like that type of red with the ginger hair, which adds to the. Oh well. Will they finish higher, lower, or equal to fifth in the East?
I'm gonna go with higher.
Okay.
I think they'll be more consistent this year, and the young guys will just only get better.
I have them finishing higher because I think this team should take a next step, especially after like getting to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Like this feels like a team that should be taking another step. They have the talent to do so. I don't know if they go and get another piece. There's no time like the present, but on the same hand, it does feel a little bit early to go out and try and get like a top 30 player in the league, top 20 or top 30 player to, pair alongside Trae. So who knows? But I got them finishing higher than fifth. So we're both high on Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to sixth from last year in the Eastern Conference. That would be the Miami Heat, who had a bit of a disappointing year last year after making the finals the year before. Fell off a little bit. Well-known white guy Tyler Hero struggled in his full season after having a really good postseason before. Jimmy Butler was the MVP of that team, arguably one of the MVPs for the league, I thought, last year, just in him trying to carry. Again, it's basically all of last season was that photo of him hunkered over like the sign or whatever in the bubble. That was him last season, just exhausted. Duncan Robinson got a big deal over the offseason, the highest contract ever for an undrafted player. What do you like or dislike about the Heat this upcoming season?
I like the pickups they got. I'm liking the Lowry trade. I'm liking, the Eric Gordon or the PJ Tucker pickup. I think they're getting better defensively, which was kind of a struggle. I think Bam is just going to get better. I think he's going to step up more. I really like Lowry joining the team. I think it makes them a lot better defensively, especially around the perimeter. Obviously, Kyle's one of the best point guards on the defensive end. He's more consistent scorer, shooter. I think he needs to step up from Goran. I don't think they have that weakness as much around at the guard position, defensively. I think it kind of sucks that they lost guys like Kendrick Nunn. It kind of hurts their depth there a little bit, but I think they will manage anyways.
I was gonna say this team is like I mean, outside of like Udonis Haslam, who is somehow still in the league. Like this team is fairly young, considering like Bam was born in 1997. Tyler Hero was born in 2000. I mean, Duncan Robinson is 1994, so he's not as young. They got Micah Potter, who is like, hey, can I copy your homework? Sure, change it a little bit compared to like Michael Porter Jr. That's Micah Potter. I think this team, just with the law of averages, I think this team is destined to bounce back. They have one of the better players in the league in Jimmy Butler. Bam Adebayo is really, developing as one of the best five, like five spots, like one of the best centers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get, improve, Lowry is going to be a starting guard, which is important. If they can get, better seasons from Hero, a full healthy season from Duncan Robinson, I think this team could be really good and it could be really competitive. Like, I don't know. I feel like if like when they're on their game, they can be like between like Milwaukee and Atlanta. Like I see like they're right in the middle of there. What do you think would be a successful season for the Miami Heat? Is it finishing third and making it to the Eastern Conference Final? What do you think would be a successful year for the Heat?
I think this is also one of the teams where it's kind of a, make or break kind of thing. Jimmy Butler, is probably like soon going to exit his prime. Kyle Lowry, obviously, like a little bit past his prime. They have the mix of young guys and veterans, but I think the issue is that you're not going to have the same team in the next 2-3 years. They'll be moving on from guys like Lowry, probably moving on from Jimmy Butler so they can free up more salary. I think they want to have as much success as possible, but you still have these young guys you can go back on down the road.
Yeah, and I mean, part of it too, I think it's just how the NBA is, and just things happen fast in basketball. Mm-hmm. Like your window is maybe 3 years, unless you have like a real like homegrown superstar or just Durant or LeBron. I feel like that's kind of just how it is. I don't know if Pat Riley, this might be Pat Riley's. I know, it's almost obligated to say that this might be Pat Riley's last kick at the can. Like if he doesn't get it done with Jimmy Butler or Bam or, one of those guys, then he might just, give up the day-to-day stuff. But we'll see. Do you see Miami finishing higher, lower, or equal to 6 in the Eastern Conference?
I think they should realistically finish higher, or equal to. It kind of depends because I'm not loving their depth at certain positions, like at the center position, at the forward position, even at the point guard position, kind of. I'm not sure how well Tyler Hero could run the point. I think he's a good shooting guard, but I don't know how his playmaking's progressed. But, normally deeper teams tend to win more in the regular season, but we'll kind of have to see how that works out.
I have them finishing higher because I think this team is just going to bounce back, play better, and maybe a normal season too. Maybe they have, with no COVID restrictions, not that there really were any in Florida, but with a normal year, fans in the building, a bit more consistency all around. I think that will help the Heat tremendously. Let's go to number 7, the Boston Celtics, who, as we're recording this, will not have Marcus Smart. I believe Marcus Smart is not playing in their preseason game on Friday because I believe he missed a plane as we record this Thursday. So he is not missing much. He's just missing a preseason game against the Magic on Friday. The Celtics had a really weird year last year where things just never clicked. They just never gelled. They have two very, I don't want to say promising because it makes them sound like they're prospects and they're young. I mean, they are young, but like they have two really good pieces in Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. I think that's I think a lot of teams, if they just had that, they would be very thrilled to build a team around those kind of guys as versatile wings who can shoot or play make. Do you think things are going to be different this year? There's no Brad Stevens. He's now moved upstairs. Do you think things are going to be better for the Celtics this year?
Yeah, I think they should be better. I think Jalen Brown being hurt definitely hurt them, especially around the playoffs. Jason Tatum obviously showed that he can win games on his own. Stole a game off Philly, I believe. Or sorry, stole a game from the Nets, I think. But
yeah, they stole a game from the Nets. I was going to say, I thought they are actually going to be okay last year. Part of it was because they beat their opening season game last year. They beat Milwaukee at home, and things felt really good. And then it was just never the same after that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it was kind of hard. I think Kemba struggled in Boston. Not being like a primary playmaker. I think he tried to take on more of a facilitator role. And I don't think that was what Kemba's game was. And with his huge contract, I think it was kind of hard to, have other pieces. I think they really needed Kemba at his full value, and I think he kind of regressed a bit. I still do like guys like Marcus Smart. I like Jalen Brown, Al Horford. Just these gritty players that will do the work. It makes me really excited about Jalen Brown. If he comes in and he's healthy, he's an all-star player. He's become almost close to the same level as Jason Tatum, on the offensive end, which is kind of not what I expected from his first years. I kind of thought he was going to be one of those guys that is kind of like a glue guy, kind of like a young Draymond or something. But, offensively, he's grown a lot. He's become a great shooter, ball handler. I think this team will do very well. I think they've got a lot of young guys, and even their veteran kind of guys, like Marcus Smart isn't that old. They picked up, some other decent guys to fill other positions, but I think they are a piece off right now.
I kind of see them being like the Knicks from last year, where they kind of go. I mean, they have, I think, better play. I think Tatum and Brown are maybe both better than Randall, but there's an argument to be made there. I really like Schroeder. They got him in free agency, and I think he can maybe give you 75% of what Walker was giving you in Boston.
Yeah.
I think we kind of know with Enes Kanter, really good offensively. He's a sieve defensively. So you kind of know, and he, he's been in the organization before. Horford's been in the organization before. So you kind of know what you're getting with those guys. Josh Richardson, I don't mind. I guess he's going to replace kind of what Evan Fournier was supposed to give you.
Yeah.
I don't mind this team. I think this team could, maybe, I don't know about a conference finals or a championship run, but I think this team could be a really, underrated, solid regular season team. Higher, lower, or equal to 7th.
I want to say higher, mainly because I think Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown will just keep getting better. I think they're probably going to be better defensively this year. Especially since I think Grant Williams is going to be playing more significant time on the floor.
That's what I love to hear.
The Time Lord. I also think that the Celtics probably aren't done making moves. I think they will be probably acquiring a high caliber guard. I wouldn't count them out of a Simmons deal yet. I think there's probably some way that they could potentially get their hands on Simmons later. I think they also I think that's probably unlikely, but I think they could maybe look to try and get like a Levert or Brogdon off the Pacers. I think that would be really good, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
You must have been reading my notes because I said I'm not out on Grant Williams or Robert Williams III.
Yeah.
So, it sounds like Kyrie maybe is not interested in returning to Boston. Is that also what I'm hearing?
I think, yeah.
All right.
I don't think you're seeing a Kyrie in Boston.
All right, fair enough. All right, now we're gonna move on to the Washington Wizards, who are a team that play in the NBA. Traded not their best. I guess Bradley Beal would technically be their best asset, but hey, you know what? They're here. They made the playoffs. They played. They played in the play-in tournament, and they played Brooklyn. No, Philly.
Yeah, Philly.
I don't know what happened. Anyways, what are your thoughts on just the Wizards? Do you have any thoughts on the Wizards?
They gotta do something, anything really. They dumped Westbrook and they kept Beal, which kind of shows that they're a little split on the direction they want to go towards. They're keeping Beal, who's kind of in his prime, trying to win. Apparently he's happy in Washington, which is good. But I don't think you're getting any big name free agents anytime soon.
I can't imagine any free agent who's like, where I think is a really good place to play? Washington. I don't think in the NBA, I don't think people are saying that. Can I name off all the guys that they got from the Westbrook trade?
Go for it. They
acquired Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP, who I finally can stop rooting for. Spencer Dinwiddie. They got in a sign and trade from Brooklyn. Montrezl Harrell, who I actually didn't mind. I thought he was okay at times.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't quite work with the Lakers, but not everybody does. Aaron Holiday, who I totally forgot was still in the league. He definitely seems like a who he played for type guy right now, Aaron Holiday. Kyle Kuzma. Well, now he's on Washington. Kyle Kuzma, my king, gone, which is too bad. I think he was one of my dad's three favorite Lakers. For a while there,
yeah,
on a championship season. I think his three favorite Lakers were LeBron, Rondo, and Kuz. I think those are the three guys that he really liked. And now having Kuz gone, it's an emotional, it's tough. It's really tough. I'm bittersweet on Kyle Kuzma leaving the Lakers. They also got the draft rights to Isaiah Todd, he's got two first names. So he should be good. Guys with two first names are usually more successful, and cash considerations from the Pacers. The Pacers are actually giving money to the Wizards.
Hey man, anything to get rid of Aaron Holiday.
Yeah,
we will pay you to have this guy off our hands.
God. One of my favorite pickups in the offseason was Corey Kissbert, who they drafted from Gonzaga, from my original hometown in the States of Edmonds, Washington. So I kind of got a rooting interest in Corey Kissbert. What is there anything that you're interested in the Wizards this upcoming season?
I'm interested in, is Spencer Dinwiddie healthy? Is he going to be better than he was before? Is he going to be worse? We haven't seen him play in a year. I'm excited because I really liked Dinwiddie. I thought he was probably the best guard in New York until Harden showed up. That's
really saying something about D'Angelo Russell. Wow. Wow. Okay.
Well, I think D'Lo was better, but I think he was the best guard in New York until they acquired James Harden.
All right.
I'm excited to see Rui Hachimura progress, and Daniel Gafford. I'd like to see the young guys get better.
Hachimura, I really like. I have I don't have as much stock in Davis Bertans now because he got the bank and just got worse. Big fan of Cassius Winston from Michigan State. Big fan of him. Listen, there are some, I don't think this team is going to be all that great, but there are some pieces that I am rooting for individually. And I might actually have like a little bit, because I'm that asshole, I might actually have a little bit of a rooting interest in the Wizards this year. Their head coach is Wes Unseld Jr., who was a big part of having like the Nugget. He was formerly an assistant with the Nuggets. He was a big part of their defense last year, which I think was ranked 6th in efficiency. That's what I have down here. Anyways, any final thoughts on the Wizards?
I'm just glad I don't have final thoughts for them.
They are lower than 8th, right? They're going to finish lower than 8th this year, right?
We got them lower.
All right. You know what? I do kind of want to see them in the play-in again this year. Indiana. Speaking of Gonzaga players, Domantas Sabonis. Little bit of a simp for him. You know,
got a little Saboner.
It happens more often than you think. You know, I'm really interested with the Pacers this year because I think the biggest addition for them is coaching with Rick Carlisle, former Mavericks head coach. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of surprised how it played out in his exit. I thought he was, I guess I'm kind of surprised like Brad Stevens. I thought just the coach was like really good and, they wouldn't get rid of somebody like him. I thought he was almost too good to fail. He used to coach the Pacers from 2003 to 2007. What are you excited about with the Pacers this year? What are you interested in with this team?
Mainly health and good fortune. I think they have like really good guys. Like Malcolm Brogdon's quietly been a great point guard. Karis LeVert, obviously, he's going to keep improving, potentially all-star level. And then they have, the guys we know, TJ Warren, Bubble Goat, Sabonis, Miles Turner. Like, they have a lot of quality guys that could make this a playoff team. But unfortunately, last year, their health kind of got in the way, and we didn't see them in the playoffs. But
wasn't the last time we were doing the season preview, marketing director, SYP creator Armin was like all in on TJ Warren?
Yeah, he said TJ Warren was going to be an all-star.
And that didn't really happen, did it?
No,
not at all. I'm excited to see Miles Turner.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's part of me that still thinks like this guy can work. Like this guy, can make it happen. He was almost an all-star. He was getting all-star love, I think, last year, wasn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
I mean,
I think it's kind of hard for 2 all-stars to come from Indiana, but
I know. He got 12 and 6 last year. He got 3.5 blocks per game. I mean, that's something. He's like always seems to be healthy, like hardly injured.
Hardly injured.
Hardly. Anyway, no, listen. I mean, last year, sure. It's quite a bit of time. But like before that, like he was doing like, pretty good. All right, listen. What are we rooting for with the pay? Are we rooting for Sabonis to have another double season, make the all-star team? Are we rooting for Jeremy Lamb to, really pop off? Like, who are we rooting for? Who should we be rooting for, do you think, on the Pacers? Brad Wanamaker?
I gotta go with Brogdon Levert. I think that's a pretty underrated backcourt, and I think this year I'm hoping they show up.
I like the sounds of that. All right. Higher, lower, or equal to ninth in the Eastern Conference. Where do we see the Pacers?
I want to say higher. I think they were pretty banged up. All their starting lineup was kind of staggered. No TJ Warren like the whole year. Yeah, Pacers higher.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say equal to. I'm gonna say they finished ninth again. You know what? I think Sabonis and Turner. You're really selling me on Warren and Brogdon. This team might just sneak into a play-in tournament again. That's what this team feels like, a play-in tournament team. That's what the Pacers feel like to me right now. So I'm going to say equal to at ninth.
Okay.
Number 10 last year in the Eastern Conference, the Charlotte Hornets. I feel like this is the team that you're really excited to talk about, mostly so you can go off on LaMelo Ball for like 5 minutes and how great he is.
I'm a huge LaMelo Ball fan. I think he's just going to keep getting better. I think he's going to be an all-star this year, realistically. I think the all-star game is a popularity thing, and I think LaMelo Ball is as popular as they come.
Are we just going to all vote for LaMelo to get in?
Oh, of course. I just put LaMelo at each position. Point guard, LaMelo. Shooting guard, LaMelo. Small forward, LaMelo. Power forward, LaMelo. Center, LaMelo Ball.
He didn't win Rookie of the Year last year. It was Anthony Edwards, I think, wasn't it? Because LaMelo,
no, he won.
He did win. Okay, because I was gonna say.
Well, who else? Who else? Big baller.
Well,
triple B's. Told you so.
Somebody sent me. I think they're LaMelo release shoes, and it's like $750.
No way.
I'll send you it later.
No way, $750. I saw them. I don't think they're $750.
I'll see maybe it's Canadian, but I want to pull this up here because it was quite a bit of money. The point is, I feel like LeVar Ball unveils luxury BBB shoes.
I thought you were talking about the Puma ones.
No, okay, these are just BBB.
That's just BBB. That's a steal if it's BBB.
Do you think you're gonna get those shoes?
I'll take out a loan from the bank and then I'll get them. After the conversion makes it $1,500.
Here's the thing with the Hornets. So you have Scary Terry, who was okay, actually. Like, I think he's fine. Yeah. I don't think he's great. I think he's just a fine, solid point guard. You had Gordon Hayward, Twitch Daddy, who is that not correct?
Yeah, man, you can say whatever you want. It's your fun.
That's a good point. You have Gordon Hayward, who, really seemed to come to I will say too, he looks really good in no Charlotte colors. Like he really seemed to he really seemed to look like he looked nice in Hornets, the pinstripe. They brought in Kelly Oubre, which I feel like just adds 5 wins purely based on looks. Are we not doing that either? Is that still a thing? We just jokingly talk about Kelly Oubre Jr.?
No, we can still do that.
All right, sweet. And you have Miles Bridges, who's good. PJ Washington, I think, is good. This team feels like they're 2 or 3 stars away from actually being like a legitimate top 3 contender, but they definitely feel like a playoff team. Another year, another year with James Borrego as the head coach, a healthy LaMelo Ball. I think this team could be a playoff team this year. What
Yeah,
are
for
your
sure.
thoughts?
Kind of have to see how it goes because I think they have a lot of versatility in their lineups, especially around the forward position. Um, you could have Kelly Oubre and Gordon Hayward starting. You could have Miles Bridges and starting. You could have, you can kind of have whoever you want kind of around the forward position. You kind of play around who's been the best fit. Obviously, you got the Terry Rozier, LaMelo Ball in the backcourt. They lost Cody Zeller, which doesn't sound that insane, but he's probably their most solid center. I'm kind of excited for James Bouknight. I think he fell in the draft quite a long ways than he was projected to be. I'm not sure what that reason is. Maybe he's not as healthy or didn't have good workouts.
Maybe UConn is overrated as a basketball program.
Well, maybe in women's basketball now, but you never know. They're such a young team, and they have now these consistent guys like Rozier, Hayward, Oubre. They're all pretty consistent. I just think that they're pretty weak at the center position. As even though the game's kind of progressed to very guard heavy or like stretch threes, you still need a reliable center. Like you still need that guy protecting the paint. They have Bismack. Bismack's getting a little old though, hasn't been very consistent. That's definitely their weakness.
I think what we saw last year with the Suns and how they were using Ayton, I think was a really good example of how centers still play a valuable role if you use them properly. The center isn't out there just, to play hack a whatever, hack a Thompson or hack a what, and get rebounds. Like I think a center can actually be really useful if you scheme him, draw him up and, use him properly. And as much as Cody Zeller does not get me excited whatsoever, there is still part of me that's like, yeah, but if the Hornets can, draw him up, use some, pick and rolls with LaMelo or use some pick and rolls with Scary Terry, like I think they can be solid with him. With the Hornets, are they going to finish higher, equal, or lower to 10th in the East this year?
I'm going to say equal.
Okay.
I think they don't really get that much higher. I think a lot of teams in the East got better this year. The Hornets, I think their way of being better this year is just being healthy, but I think a lot of other teams in the East got pickups.
Yeah, especially like the next two teams that we'll talk about here, I feel like are going to be better this year. And that includes the Chicago Bulls, who have a dare I say intriguing mix of personalities on this team.
I think it's probably one of the best mixes right now in terms of starting lineups.
So you have point guard Lonzo Ball, shooting guard Zach LaVine, small forward DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams at power forward, Nikola Vucevic at center. That's according to ESPN. Just naming off those guys, just like the names alone, that sounds like, a 40-45 win team. Like that's what it sounds like to me. Is like a team that, should be at least in the play-in tournament.
I would say higher, personally.
I want to say at least like the starting point, the bare minimum for this team this year should be the play-in tournament. Like that's the bare minimum. And we're not like, I haven't even mentioned like Kobe White, Alex Caruso, Derek Jones Jr., depending on how you feel about him. Like, I think there is like, a world in which this team can be, not kind of repeating myself, like the New York Knicks in a little ways, where a team we're not really expecting, they come out of nowhere and they, have a really strong season, probably lose in the first round. What do you think the biggest concern should be for the Bulls this year?
I think the biggest concern is defense around DeMar and around Vucevic. I think this team offensively is absolute powerhouse. I think this is close to Brooklyn in terms of offensive firepower, or like Atlanta. Like I think this team is really up there. I think this is probably the best possible fit you could have got for DeRozan. Like the entire team, like lineup is just full of shooters. Lonzo Ball is probably going to be over 40% from three this season. Levine was over 40%. Vucevic was pretty much at 40% this season, the best among centers for 3-point percentage. If you are a player that prefers to take mid-range shots or driving, this was the team you wanted to join. Just those three players alone will just get you so much space on the floor. I thought earlier this year that maybe the Bulls would be unloading some guys trying to get Westbrook. I thought that was possible earlier, but obviously they pick up the Lonzo Ball and DeRozan first.
Which I actually don't mind that. Like, I don't mind, trying to add one, like a bunch of guys instead of one guy. Cause I think that's how you win championships.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's the depth that is, like, if you want to go on a big run, which I think should be the goal here for the Bulls. If you want to go on a big run, I think getting that depth is really important, and just having a bunch of players instead of just having a bunch of top guys on the team. And, that's why I really love Alex Caruso. And
we all love Alex Caruso.
We stan Alex Caruso on this podcast. And, another guy I'm interested in, Ayo Dosunmu, who was playing for Illinois last year. He's a rookie. He didn't have a great season in college. I don't know if anybody really had a great season in college last year outside of like a couple Baylor players. But, he could find himself playing like 10 minutes a night and, being a solid shooter and a solid playmaker. He's somebody that, we aren't talking about now, but could be talking about by the end of the year. I don't see him being like a rookie of the year guy. I just see him as being like maybe like a Peyton Pritchard type, who can, play a 6th or 7th man role if they really need him to. Any other thoughts on the Bulls heading into what should be this is probably one of the biggest seasons for the Bulls since D Rose and Noah were on the team.
Yeah.
Like that's how big this can be for this team. Any other thoughts on the Bulls heading into the year?
I think offensively, this is probably, like I said, this is the best. I think this will be the best team around starting lineup around DeRozan that we've ever seen. I think this is the perfect match for DeRozan. You've got Lonzo Ball playmaking. DeRozan's evolved as a player. He's a better playmaker now than he was in Toronto. He's a facilitator as well now. You've got defensive, like good two-way players, Lonzo and Levine. I think this is going to be the third best backcourt in the league. I think behind Golden State, behind Brooklyn, this is probably the third best backcourt in the league.
I like the fact that Levine can still, like, with these guys around him, Levine can still be the first option because he's going to want to be the first option.
Yeah. And he's also the most efficient player, really, outside of Jokic. He's the most efficient scorer in the league. I think you could see an MVP kind of season from Levine this year. That is kind of a hot take I had. I think the concerns are just defense, and I think what really pushes this team over the edge is Kobe White, Patrick Williams. Kobe White doesn't have to be a facilitator with Lonzo. He can focus on scoring. That's what he does best. And Patrick Williams, he's 21, but he is going to be taking a big role at the forward position. He's going to have to try and be a two-way player. He's going to have to help Vucevic on defense, and he's going to have to be kind of consistent on the offensive end. If he develops a jumper, he could be amazing.
Yeah, if Williams is just like average to okay this year, I think that's really good for the Bulls. Like if he's just average or okay at the 4, I think that's a really, positive sight for the Bulls. I think part of it too is that sure the team is trying to win now, but you might not want him to be like peaking right now, if you know what I mean. Like you're still trying to develop him and still trying to get him going down the line. With the Bulls, higher, lower, or equal to 11th? I think we know the answer, but
higher, significantly higher.
Significantly higher. 40 to 45 wins, I think, is about what this team should be this upcoming season. Okay, Toronto Raptors. What an interesting year they had last year. Never got to play in Canada because of the COVID restrictions, having to play in Tampa instead. It never felt right from the start with the Raptors. They were one of the worst teams last year. They had the Kyle Lowry rumors going around. It just never worked out. It just was not going to happen. Siakam and coach Nick Nurse seemed to have a bit of friction at times last year. What do you think is I guess playing at home is going to be an important part to this team improving. What do you think is going to be another factor for the Raptors trying to get back to where they were?
I think this is another player development year, but now you're kind of locked in on that. I think last year it's kind of split. Like we have Lowry. Well, Lowry wants to win. We want to win with Lowry. They couldn't do that really. They had injuries. COVID. They had the worst COVID issues of any team in the league, really. And I think now that you just focus on player development, I think just having that like set direction is probably the best case for them. Obviously, lots of young guys. Scotty Barnes, I think it's going to be do really well, especially with Siakam out at the start of the year. He's going to get more time to start, more minutes. I'm really big on Gary Trent. I think he's going to be really good. I'd like to see OG get to that all-star level.
I really like that. I'm thinking I don't know if this is gonna be their small ball lineup, but like to start off the year, if they go like Goran Dragic, Fred VanVleet, OG, maybe Gary Trent, Scotty Barnes, like if you have those five guys out there, because they talk about the NBA being a positionless league nowadays. Like if you just have those five guys out there to start the year, I think that's actually like not a bad lineup. I think you can actually there's enough shooting there. There's enough playmaking there. I think the defense would be all right. And I don't think that's, awful for the Raptors. Obviously Siakam out to start the year is not great. Chris Boucher, also injured at the moment. So we don't know what's going to be like with him. Is this a playoff team? Are we like, I guess we're in Canada, so we might be a little bit biased because we get more Raptors coverage than anybody else. But is this really a playoff team?
I think this could be a play-in team, but
Okay.
I don't think Goran Dragic will touch heavy minutes. I think it's going to mostly be Gary Trent development. Obviously, last year, they had like COVID, and Gary Trent was a little bit injured, but they just wanted to preserve him. They know he's going to be really good. I think this is definitely player development year. I think it helps that there's no Siakam. Like other guys are going to get more reps. My issue is they have the exact same weaknesses last year. No reliable bigs. The rebounding is still going to be quite horrendous, I think. I would like to see moves. I'd like to see them pick up like a good young big man. Like Miles Turner is definitely on my watch list.
I would like that. I'd be happy down for that.
I think you kind of just commit to this like Gary Trent, Scotty Barnes, OG core with Fred as well. Personally, I would like to see moves around like Siakam and Boucher, Dragic. I think Precious was a really good pickup. He's going to be a good power forward center. I think he is kind of undersized, which doesn't really help in matchups against Embiid. I watched their preseason game. Embiid was barbecue chicken. Literally, he probably ate barbecue chicken before the game. I think the Raptors, they're in a good direction. They have a lot of good young players. Definitely, everybody's very versatile. Like everyone can put the ball on the floor. Everyone can make plays, like shooting. I'm excited. like in 3 years, the Raptors are going to be, I think, at that level with like the Lowry, where they're always like strong playoff team. They're definitely like one or two guys off though.
I should mention Isaac Bonga, who I am 1 day older than. I was born on November 7th, 1999. He was born on November 8th, 1999. So kind of puts into perspective where I am and where he is. And,
he's also a former Laker. So
former Laker. He was involved. What trade was he involved in again? Was he involved in the 80? Because that was a 3-way deal, wasn't it?
They shipped him and Wagner off to Washington for cash
to make the AD trade fit. That's what it was. Anyways, shout out to Isaac Bonga. People will also want us to say Yuta Watanabe.
Yeah. I'm big on Zvi Mikhailuk. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'm excited for Zvi. I think he's quite good.
I was afraid to say his name because I didn't want to butcher it. But former Lake, wasn't he drafted by the Lakers? I think you and I were like pretty high on him coming out of college.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Lakers. I think he's going to be really good for the Raptors. I think they didn't have a reliable scorer coming off on that bench behind Van Vliet and Lowry. I think Zvi can be that guy. Yeah, people are going to love Zvi. He's going to be good. He's a big step up from Rodney Hood. Yeah, I'm excited for the Raptors. I'm excited just to see how it goes.
Higher, lower, equal to 12th this upcoming season.
I'm gonna go with higher. I think they're a playing team.
I'll say higher too. I feel like there's enough talent there to be a play-in team. I'll say that much. All right. 13th in the East last season, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are I don't know if they know what they're doing. I like some of the people. When I look at this team, it's like, okay, I like Sexton. I obviously like Kevin Love. Darius Garland's actually like okay. They drafted Evan Mobley. Yeah, Evan Mobley. They just drafted Jared Allen's on this team. There's this thing in football in the NFL. So the Houston Texans, who have Deshaun Watson right now, they're a team that's been managed so poorly that basically their roster is a collection of guys who are like, oh yeah, I remember him. That's where he is now. Like that's what the Cavs are. Because Ricky Rubio is on this team. Lauri Markkanen's on this team. Denzel Valentine, who I was actually high on coming out of college at Michigan State. Taco Fall is on this team. What are your thoughts on the Cavaliers heading into 2021, 2022?
It's hard to have like concrete thoughts. Jared Allen's been one of the best young centers in the league. Darius Garland has potential to be an all-star in his future. You got Evan Mobley, who we'll see how he does because he's supposed to be like the Kevin Durant archetype. Lots of randomness. Like you've got Kevin Love still there. You just picked up Lauri Markkanen, Denzel Valentine, Taco Fall. Isaac Okoro's looking good. I'm hoping he develops more. My biggest question is Colin Sexton. Are we still doing Sexland? Are we not? Is Sexland a thing still? Are they trying to move him? Are they going to move him? What's the deal?
I think that's like half the fun of being like a Cavs fan is that you're in Sexland. Like
exactly.
I feel like that's like, a Cleveland Cavaliers OnlyFans marketing page. Their marketing slogan is like Sexland.
Sexland.
I mean, also on this team, Ed Davis. Totally forgot. C. Osman. Totally forgot about him. Part of me, like, as a LeBron guy, I really like LeBron. There is part of me that still kind of likes Cleveland and wants this team to do well. I just don't know. I just don't know how they get there. Their head coach is JB Bickerstaff, which, correct me if I'm wrong, he always just seems like the guy that team like replaces the fired coach. Like he always just seems like an interim coach, like wherever he is. He's like the assistant. Like I feel like he was that in Memphis. I feel like he was that in Houston, where he's just like, everybody's interim and then full coach. But hey, you know what? Sometimes that's just what you are. Are we rooting for the Cavs? Do we have any? I like Kevin Love, but like, do we have any like rooting interests out like in this team doing well?
For me, not really. Like, I'm not sure what you're doing. Like, obviously, you want Jarrett Allen around. You want Darius Garland around. They kind of got to decide what they're doing, I think.
Yeah, I don't really know what the plan is here. I don't really know what you're actually trying to do. It just seems like you have a collection of players that some people are somewhat familiar with. You have Sexland, and that's about it.
Yep.
I don't know if you're going to unload some assets to get some more draft picks, if that's going to be a thing, if that is a thing. I don't know. Who knows? I'm excited to see Evan Mobley, though. Do we think Cleveland is higher, equal to, or lower than 13th in the Eastern Conference this season?
I think equal or lower.
I agree. The Orlando Magic, 14th in the East last season. They actually like the difference between them and Cleveland is that they actually feel like they have a strategy and a plan, and like they kind of know who they are and what they want to do, which is interesting. Who's a guy on the Magic who you're really excited to watch this season?
I'm excited to watch RJ Hampton.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited to see what Jalen Suggs can do. I'm kind of wondering if he is going to be the huge like, I know a lot of Raptors fans really wanted to see Jalen Suggs. I know a lot of people said the Raptors messed up. I want to see if they're right or not. I think Orlando has a lot of good, talented guards, which is also what I think is their biggest weakness as well. So
Orlando, similar to Cleveland, they just have like a random assortment of players, I think, on this team. The guys are like, oh yeah, I remember him. And
yeah.
But I think they're also like more entertaining, like guys, if you know what I mean, in that regard, where it's like, oh, Cole Anthony. I like Cole Anthony. Jalen Suggs was a great shooter against Zaga. That's cool. Terrence Ross, I remember him in Toronto. He does some sick dunks like half a dozen times a year. Like that rocks. Mo Bamba's got a song named after him. Hell yeah to that. Robin Lopez is on this team. Gotta love the Lopez brothers. Franz and Moritz Wagner are on this team.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Like, let's do this. RJ Hampton, Michael Carter Williams. Like, this just Wendell like, again, I keep naming guys. It's like, this just seems like a fun team with a random but awesome assortment of assets. And I am all here for it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good guys like on this team. I think there's a lot of talented guys. They'll probably only get better. Shout out to the Orlando Magic Instagram page. I think they're probably the best team on social media. I think they do a great job, and I think it makes me excited. Like I probably won't even watch like an Orlando Magic game unless I don't really have anything else to watch. But I'll still be excited to see them.
I'm gonna watch like, I don't know, not even 20 minutes of Magic basketball all season, if that, right? Yeah. Not even. Gonna watch 20 minutes of it, and I'm gonna enjoy every minute of it, just because of like the guys, and they seem like they're all having fun. Like they seem like they all just like enjoy where they are and what they're doing, and they know they're probably not gonna win this year, but they at least seem like they're enjoying what they're doing, and I think that's what I really like in a team that really just, is happy to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the Magic, I like the idea of RJ Hampton. I like the Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony. I know Markelle Fultz is around, and he could potentially be better than any three of them. But do they want to have Markelle Fultz around? Obviously, RJ Hampton's been really good for them. Cole Anthony's been very solid. I don't know what you do because you want to develop these guys, but also you need to give these guys time to play. So you have four guards, guys all under like 6'5". You can't exactly spread them across the entire lineup all the time. They do have some holes around their team, around like the forward position. Like they have Jonathan Isaac, Wendell Carter, and Mo Bamba kind of play the same position. They'll probably be like fighting for time. They'll probably split time. I just think they're a little too heavy at the guard rotation, even though they have a lot of quality guards. But I think from a player development standpoint, you kind of got to pick and choose, maybe drop one, get a forward or something.
I think here's the thing. I think this team also has some extra draft picks. I think this team is fine. Like I think I think this team is in a good spot. Kind of like you say, they do have some holes. They're not going to be perfect this year. This is a long-term plan that they're working on here in Orlando, and I'm all for it because I think it'd be really cool. And if they also have some really nice uniforms, like you say, they have really good social media game, Instagram especially. I'm part of me rooting for the Magic, like this just seems really fun and exciting, not in like an actual like, oh, I wonder how this works as a basketball team type of aspect. But hey, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Higher, lower, or equal to the 14th in the East?
I think we have enough talent to be higher if they're healthy. Like we didn't see Jonathan Isaac. I thought he was going to take a leap. Markelle Fultz obviously was improving as his short time before he was injured on the Magic. I think this should be higher. I think guys are getting better. I'd like to see them higher.
I'm going to say higher, just because I again, rooting interest. I feel like they're better than Cleveland. Mm-hmm. I think they might be better than Washington. Maybe. Who knows? But I think they're higher. They're long-term play here with the Magic. It's not good. Good things don't happen overnight. Let's talk about the Detroit Pistons, who finished 15th last in the Eastern Conference last season. They're also on their way to like being something.
Yeah.
They drafted Cade Cunningham first overall. And what I really appreciate about Cunningham is that he really seems to enjoy being in Detroit. Like he's really embraced it. He's really enjoyed the city. He's really enjoyed the fans. He's really enjoyed the embrace the organization. I'm excited to see how he fits in with this team. Other notable players on this team include first-round pick last year, Killian Hayes, Kelly Olynyk, Cassius Stanley.
Kind of a weird team.
Weird team. Not going to be that good this year. Luka Garza.
I'm excited to see Luka Garza because he was the Naismith Award winner, I believe.
I can pull it up right now for you. He won.
He was quite good in college, and he went very low. He went in second round, 50th pick.
National College Player of the Year in 2021. Big Ten Player of the Year, won that twice. He's already got his number retired by the Iowa Hawkeyes.
I'm very interested that he fell so far down. I hope he does pretty well. I think this team definitely obviously revolves around Cade Cunningham. How good is he going to be in his rookie year? Is he going to be rookie of the year? Is he going to be, like shaky at the start? The whole team's success lives and dies by Cade Cunningham.
What do we think a successful season is for Cunningham? Like 20-10, 15-5?
I think closer to 20 a game and like six or seven assists maybe.
Okay.
I think he's like physically he's definitely NBA ready. He's got good skills. He's a good shooter, good playmaker. I think he could definitely be that like Russell Westbrook LaMelo type where they're getting points, they're getting assists, getting rebounds. I think he could be quite good. I'm not sure how everyone will play around him. I think you want him to be the primary ball handler, but I think with Killian Hayes, who's going to be his backcourt partner, he's not a very good shooter. He's a good playmaker, athletic guy, but I think you have to put it in Killian's hands simply because he can't shoot off the ball for Cade.
Another guy to keep in mind is Jeremy Grant, who had a really good season last year, like 22 points, about 5 rebounds, 3 assists a game. Shooting not quite 900 free throw. Makes it.
I would have to say that I think Jeremy Grant is very overrated.
I think he just had really he won the most improved end of the season as a most improved player award finalist. So he basically just had one season where he was the main guy.
Yeah. This is a guy that on playoff teams was like a 5th, 6th scoring option. Like he was a good, decent two-way player. And he goes to Detroit and he balls out because there is no super promising picks. There's no high picks. There's no guys that they're like clearly rebuilding around. Jeremy Grant just gets free reign, really. Like he can do whatever he wants. He can shoot how many ever times he wants. I think that just inflates his numbers a lot. I'm excited for Sadiq Bey, Cade Cunningham. I think they're going to be really good shooters. Jeremy Grant's going to be consistent. He's not going to have the same amount of success.
I think a successful season from this team would just be if the young guys take a step. Like if Cunningham fits in really well. If Killian Hayes has a solid season where hopefully he's healthy as well. If Bey has a really solid season, I think that would be a overall net positive year for the Pistons is if the young guys can really take a step for this team. With that being said, they finished 15th last year in the Eastern Conference. Do you think the Pistons finish higher or equal to, they can't finish lower, higher or equal to 15th in the Eastern Conference?
I think equal.
I think equal.
I don't think they're better than Cleveland, and I think every other team is better, really.
I think I agree.
All right, that's part 1 on Eastern Conference with Fuji. Be sure to tune in again on Tuesday when we have the Western Conference preview. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back soon. Peace out.